we go. Right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 32 of season 3 of the Plastic Crack podcast. As you can see, we are a man down because Ken's been forced to go to a wedding fair today, which I find pretty funny. But we've upgraded, and we have Michael, who's very kindly agreed to join us from Oathsworn Miniatures, who is the man behind Oathsworn Miniatures and Burrows and Badgers and Sculpting, and there's a lot of questions for you, Michael. So thank you for agreeing to come on this Monday night. We hope everybody's doing well on this lovely bank holiday. I hope it's not too hot where everyone is. It's remarkably tepid in Cambridge. So I don't.
That's a word.
I couldn't think of another word. Tepid. It's tepid.
Very nice.
What's wrong with tepid?
Okay.
What's wrong with tepid?
Nothing's wrong with it. It's just...
As always, joined by Dom from Boots on the Table, who's below me, and then down, I'm going to get it right this time, this way to the bottom right is Steve from On Point HQ, and welcome everybody. Of course, you can find links to our channels down below, where you can also find links to the Facebook group, and as always, thank you if you are catching up on the replay. We've got quite a lot to get through tonight, so much so that I've actually run out of room on the uploader here for the pictures. So we're going to be deleting things as we go to create room for the other ones.
It's going to be a lot of weird shit
ready to go. Well, no.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. No. Yeah. No, yeah. Well, but I will say I'm not going. There's a load of you in the chat already, so I'm not going to go through absolutely everybody. But welcome to everyone. The one person I will reply to is Duke Wellington, who said to help with my Zulu Wars, I should check out things by James Mace. Funnily enough, I've just started listening to that this week, so that's been getting me through my painting this week, along with other things. So yes, they seem to be good so far. So check it out. How's everyone doing today? Dom, you right?
Yeah, I'm very good, mate. Thank you. I woke up with that wonderful feeling, thinking it was, oh God, it's Monday, then realizing it was a bank holiday Monday, which was absolutely fantastic, and just sort of rolled over and went back to bed. It was fantastic. It was always a good way to start the day. Always a good
Michael, how about you? We said beforehand, today's very much still a work day for you.
Yeah, just been the usual, Monday sorting out orders and doing Kickstarter prep stuff. Just packing boxes of things, basically. Nothing fun.
Nothing fun. But that's
it's
good.
Fun
in
for
fact,
us receiving the Kickstarter.
I was about to say, yeah. For those of us that backed it, yes, definitely. That's great stuff. Steve, what about you? How's everything up there?
Up north, yeah, it's been nice and warm. It's been grey though. It's not tepid. It's definitely not tepid. It's more moist, if I can say that. Moist.
Who would ever say that?
You several times. No, like Dom, I didn't realise it was a bank holiday Monday until about 10 a.m. on Friday. When some people.
I thought you could say 10 a.m. today.
No. I actually did that 2 years ago. Remember when we had that extra bank holiday for Boxing Day being on a Sunday? I didn't know. I got up for work. So and I almost repeated it this weekend, but no, it's been good. I have a nice lazy weekend. Watched plenty of films, drank weird beers, and then I spent today painting like a madman. So yeah.
Yes. You offended my wife greatly with your choice of beer. I have to say, you upset my wife with your pineapple milkshake.
Pineapple milkshake.
God's sake, Steve, your insides must be. Oh,
it was lovely.
Like
Yes, sorry, Michael. Should explain. Steve's on a mission to find the most disgusting beer that he can possibly find, and post about it regularly in our Facebook group, and to see what happens. And my wife has an aversion to all things pineapple, and she saw it and took great offence.
To be fair, when it actually smells and tastes like pineapple, it's uncanny. It really is.
I'm not sure that's really going to improve Hayley's feelings. No, to be honest.
No.
But no, it's been a good long bank holiday weekend, culminating with today or tonight rather.
There we go. What a way to end. So, everybody, welcome. And as we have already said, Michael, thank you very much for agreeing to come on. I'd actually say that you've probably been the most requested person for us to try and have on. through comments in the chat, and also through the slow, I don't know how do I say, assimilation of people to painting your miniatures and playing Burrows and Badgers within the group. I think people really want to sort of just know what goes into it, I think. So sorry, I mean, basically, I thought I'd just ask if sorry, I mean, we're going to change the format slightly from how we do it. So instead of going through, because Dom basically just found a really good format for doing this, so we're going to stay with Dom's idea. So we will go through sort of what we've been working over the last week, but really to begin with, Michael, we'd just like to sort of about you and Wargaming. How did you get started in the hobby? What was it that sort of drew you to it and got you going?
Started off, I was 10. First edition of Warhammer had just come out, and that was the first thing I picked up. Didn't play it because it seemed really complicated to me. But I bought it and I liked the miniatures, so just orcs and dwarves. They were in the local toy shop, and I just started collecting them, painting them really badly with enamel paints. Didn't really game with it at all until the second edition Warhammer came out, which just made a little bit more sense. I don't think we were getting the rules right, but that's how it started off. Then Red Box D&D. A lot of the lads at school were playing D&D, so we got into that and fighting fantasy books basically, and it kind of grew from there.
Did you? Can I ask before you? Did you ever complete one of the fighting fantasy books? Because I'm yet to find. I've never completed. I never completed any of them. I think I tried so many times to do Death Trap Dungeon. Just never do it.
That's definitely a toughie. Yeah, it is. There's definitely easier ones than that. But they're not too bad. I mean, I don't know. We probably kept a finger in place for the
only one.
Absolutely fantastic. What were you going to say? You gone then, Steve? Which was one?
I was going to say I can only remember completing one, and that was the Chasms of Malice. But the rest of them were just difficult. Especially the Warlock of Fire Top Mountain. I mean, that's the introduction to the series, and it's like a sledgehammer to the throat. It's just so.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of you just make a decision and they just say your adventure ends here, you're dead. And you're thinking all that it was left.
It's very much the Dark Souls of its of its time. You are dead. That is it. See, we've said this before. I think I played a few of the fighting fantasy, and then I was like, no. And then for some reason I gravitated towards the Lone Wolf books, which I'm currently re-going through. So currently in a big reprints at the moment, and I'm very much enjoying them. But Steve made me promise not to keep showing them to him because he doesn't want to spend the money. So
I will. I love Lone Wolf so much.
But the great thing is, they're almost like little director's cuts. They've added in more stuff from his notes, so they've expanded. They've extended them as well. They're fantastic in the artwork. I mean, it's still got some of the classic artwork in it, but the cover art is stunning. Yeah, there you go, Steve. We got it. Don't forget Lone Wolf.
Oh yes,
we've got that covered. That's funny. Funny enough, I mean, what you've just talked about seems to be sort of very much the way that a lot of people have gotten into it. Certainly my sort of intro was because Dom's intro wasn't through Warhammer. so Dom's
you weirdos, you see, it explains so much about what's going on now with you two. Bloody hell.
You weirdos.
Weirdos.
So I saw some. I think it was were they the plastic goth orcs. We had one holding the axe and one holding a bolter or something like that, and you got like 6 in a pack. And I did the same thing as well, which was just to carve through them with enamel paints. And I made up rules, but because I had the D&D box, I was making up rules with D20s, and I was forcing my dad to play with me on the kitchen table. Now my daughter's trying to get me to play games. I know exactly how he felt. Absolutely. And D&D Redbox, Steve, that's something you were very much, you played that, didn't you, off the Redbox?
It's been so long since I played D&D. I know we played it at some point, but we pretty much went towards MERP or Warhammer Fantasy Battle. We did do some D&D, but it was a long time ago in the midst of time.
Can I say I did Redbox? That was one of the first things I ever did in gaming. And before I saw the light and moved into historicals. It was.
Absolutely. So Mike, I mean, obviously we talked. We will talk about Burrows and Badgers, but I mean, have you been? Was there ever any kind of hiatus in your gaming? Is it always been part of your life?
Yeah, not really. No, I've just carried on doing it since 83 basically. So it's been pretty constant throughout all kinds of different games and things. Didn't do as much role playing. When I was doing D&D and things, the bits I liked were sort of dungeon floor plans and miniatures and the kind of skirmish, effectively like treating it like a skirmish system basically. So I just moved away from role playing into the tabletop wargaming, and that's just kept my interest throughout really.
And never look back. Absolutely. Okay.
Were you at any clubs or anything like that, Michael, or is it just solely your friends and family that you coerced into playing?
Yeah, mostly just family and local people and what have you. We've got various clubs round and about, but it's just finding the time at the minute. Everything's trying to commit to particular times to meet up and do things. I really ought to, because I keep messaging the various clubs and finding out when they're on and then just not showing up. So
I was going to say,
mostly family and friends.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was just say because I know, because how I found out about Burrows and Badgers was through our club. In one of the, I think it's one of the 3 times that I went there, I was lucky enough to actually get to play it. And it is Luke, who happens to own, I think, every miniature you've ever sculpted, and he brought them along sort of every week just so people could pick and choose what they wanted to use, so he could coerce. But because the club was very bolt action 40k centric, there was a few of us that we play Burrows and Badgers, and instead we coerced him to come to us to play instead of going there. So we just sort of pulled him away from that club to come over to the one that we were doing. But so he's going around clubs. I mean, is that something that you were? I mean, do you try to do that as part of sort of play testing, or just showing off the game, or just for your own personal sort of enjoyment?
I'm supposed to. It's always been the plan to. I mean, each year we have plans for doing tours and going around different places, showing it at different places, and constantly run out of time. Basically, I think it's one of the problems of just being. There's only me and Joe, and it's we're kind of doing everything. So you kind of run out of time pretty quickly, and so I keep saying yes, we'll do that next month, and next month comes around and we've run out of time again. So it's always on the plan, but yeah, hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's always. I think everybody's got something like that. Whether you're, I guess, running the business, or when we're making videos, someone would always say you're going to do this. You're like, yeah, definitely going to do it. And then there's one that I was meant to make about 2 years ago that someone picked me up on this week. Asked me when it was coming out. So it is in the queue. It's just that other things keep on coming up. Other stuff keeps happening, and for some reason we keep on putting on a gaming day. That keeps on popping up, which does remind me. So there was segue into that. If anyone would still like to come to Crackcon on the 16th of October at Boards and Swords, we do. The 15th of October. I should get that right. If you come on the 16th, there won't be anybody there. Well, the shop will be there, but we won't be. So you might be. But anyway, on the 15th of October, we have extended the number of tickets that are available because we basically sold out. But after speaking with the venue, basically there are more tickets available, and of course we have a whole host of games that day to try out, which includes big games of O Group. There's a big Wars of the Roses game. Dom, you're running a big English Civil War game.
Yeah, I just realised I really want to work with Miller on actually getting the rules down and what we're going to do with that one. But yeah, there is a big ECW game.
Dom,
you've got bolt action, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm playing against Richard's Partisans. That should be good. And then I'm available for another game in the afternoon if anyone wants a game of bolt action. Dom, have you got any Puritan players yet? Or is everyone just going?
No, of course everybody's. No, we haven't got any traitors. We've only got the.
Everyone's been a royalist.
Yeah,
as it should be.
It's the way it should be.
Actually, I think I've recruited someone for Miller. So Miller will have someone. I'll be running demos of 0-200 hours, and of course we're going to have games of Burrows and Badgers going all day. And I understand Luke, the chap who's running it's got a many cunning plans to snare people into it, but we'll come on to that. So now it's probably just a good time before we sort of go into, I guess, really questioning Michael about Burrows and Badgers and sort of inspiration, everything like that. If we just have a look at sort of what we've been working on, and Michael, you've sent me some awesome pictures of non-Burrows and Badgers related stuff. So you do find time to hobby as well as working on Burrows and Badgers.
Yeah, basically, I'm forcing myself to. I wasn't getting any time to do anything but work, and I really wanted to get back. I've got piles of stuff building up that need to build and paint eventually. So I'm forcing myself to like a couple of evenings a week to actually do some other hobby stuff, basically.
Okay, so these are. So I'm going to pop these up. These ones you sent me. So these are Vindicators, aren't they? These are the new Age of Sigmar Stormcasts. Is that right?
Yeah, Vindictors of all things. I don't know. Everyone calls them Vindicators, but they're not. They're Vindictors apparently.
Yeah,
I don't know what why you're not getting stuff like. Yeah,
they are.
That's
they
it,
are.
basically.
They're just fantastic. I don't know what. I mean, wow. I mean, especially the blue, is one you sent me. I've got a close up here of the.
Michael, before you started doing, the Badgers and Burrows stuff, were you a professional painter or something? Because that standard is extraordinary.
No. I was a sculptor. I was a freelance sculptor. But paintings, it's just something I've been doing recently, really. Obviously I've been doing it forever, but doing it properly, I just take forever. I just spend a long time doing it. So if I did them quick enough, they'd look a lot worse.
It's absolutely. The checker. I was trying to do some checkers on something the other day, and I lost the will to live and ended up just painting the entire thing black and put a white stripe across it. That's absolutely fantastic. And I'll share this because this blew me away.
Oh,
that is.
Oh my goodness!
What is this? Is that 40k as well?
It's one of the Imperial, I don't know, some kind of regimental officer. I think he's meant to be the fleet or something. The cast wasn't great, so I've had to add bits to it. So like sort of the bit on his coat hanging over and his hat's green stuff, but
oh wow,
because it really dodgy mold line. So yeah.
So just get rid of that. Just get rid of that. Yeah, why not? If you do it, no, I don't. Absolutely. I mean, that is fantastic. There's always been something really cool. This is the problem. So I haven't painted anything for 40k for quite a long time. But if anything does kind of grab my interest, it's the Imperial Guard and the Imperial Navy and stuff like that. Especially because I still very much like the books and the lore and everything like that. Yeah. I do really like that. I did see someone selling a it was a inbox army of the chaps that look like the Anglo-Zulu War British with the pith helmets and red uniforms. I can't remember what they're called. They're Praetorian.
Praetorians.
I think the Praetorians.
Praetorians. Yeah.
Guard.
Yeah. Effective. Yeah. Basically, they just look like those, but with las rifles. And I did sit there, and I was hanging over the buy button, and then I actually read how much they wanted for the box, which was about £800.
Jesus.
Now I know that these are really quite small and spindly, so that level of detail is absolutely fantastic.
Michael, do you know when you're painting something, do you have to hold back the urge to modify it yourself or add things to it? Or
yeah, well, weirdly, that I couldn't get hold of a cyber skull in time, so that's actually a couple of plastic skulls, and the rest of it's just green stuff. So,
you sculpted all the attack, the sort of hanging
the whole. It's just two skulls, plastic skulls with everything else is added on.
That's absolutely fantastic.
Awesome.
Wow,
that is awesome. And then I had to you sent me this one, and I had to put this one up because I just love. But I've got to ask, the little creature that's down by his side.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
did
part
hit
of
one
it,
as
or is
well,
that something?
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I just had it on. It's the same problem I had with the other one. It was from the same blister as the other one, and it had a couple of really dodgy casting bits on, so I had to kind of resculpt various bits of it, which was,
I'm sure I've seen
you put things
this
on to
fellow
just
on the front
hide
cover
bits.
of a metal album somewhere. I'm sure I've seen him like an Entombed album or something.
I'm sure I've seen him down with the spoons at some point.
Troy probably was in Derby. Fantastic. And then the scenery that you've sent me, is this just to obviously to use in your games, just to keep things fresh? I mean, everyone barricades are always good.
It was just in the campaign supplement, the next one I'm writing, I realised that some of the rules are if you attack something that's defended, the defender gets certain things, and one of the things they get is barricades, and one of the things they get is a guard tower. Well, it depends on how high their defences are, and it occurred to me that I didn't actually have any. So for playtesting it and photographing it, I thought I'll have to make some. So.
That's always a good thing. We've just finished running a siege game for the Wars of the Roses, and I built a castle. Well, I say I built. There was a castle kit, and I built that and done it on, and we realised that the besiegers had nothing. All I'd focused on was the castle, and that my army was attacking. And I sat there looking, going, I haven't got anything. There's no battering rams. There's no ladders. There's no cover. It's going to be the shortest siege in history. But fortunately, my opponent, Robin, so hello if you're watching, Robin, he went away and made all these lovely little mantlets to stick in front of the units and ladders to prop up against the walls. He probably is regretting that because I sacked the castle and killed everybody in it. But he's, I think, yes, I can see your actual. And then you talk about the tower. So I assume this is the tower.
Yeah, just a little guard tower, basically. I just figured that you'd have a little town watch, and I'm working up rules I've got rules for it in the game, and I'm just at the minute I'm not happy with them, so I just thought I'd make one, I can play test it, and see how it goes.
That's fantastic. Is that styrofoam that you've made that out of, or is it sort of the Hearth darts?
Yeah, it's just a styrofoam thing because I had to do it quick, so.
It has that sort of cartoony kind of effect, which really goes well with the Badgers and Burrows. I think it's brilliant. Love it. If it was a really sort of historic Norman tower, it would look wrong, I think, with Badgers. But that looks perfect. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I'd have had to have spent ages on it if I'd done
that. That's definitely. I don't want to do anything.
You don't want to spend too much time on a thing.
No.
No, that is absolutely awesome. Well, I was just saying, Michael has sent me a lot of photos, and there are a lot of photos online, so there's going to be plenty to look at tonight. So what I'll do is I'll tell you what, Steve, go on, tell me what have you been up to this week? Because you said you've been productive. Is that just because you're on a caffeine high?
Just a bit of everything, really. I don't know, because I hadn't painted for ages. Today's the first day I've painted in a while. I've been doing bits and pieces, but today, fueled by coffee and metal, I might get through a few things. So, what have I worked on?
Steve, can I stop you for 1 second? It's only because the comments are going so fast. I don't want to lose this one. Michael, we've had a question just saying, do you have a blog or an Instagram where you share your painting and scenery builds because you're inspiring people in the chat and they'd love to follow you?
I do have an Instagram. I think it's Oathsworn, probably Oathsworn Michael, I think. I probably don't post on it as often as I should, but I think it's just Oathsworn Michael.
Okay, there you go, guys. Go over that, and of course on Facebook, there's the Burrows and Badgers Facebook page and Oathsworn Miniatures as well, so you can go over there. So there you go, Matt. Sorry, Steve, didn't mean to cut you off, but I keep on losing the track of the chat because it keeps on going really fast.
So this time last week, I was working on some Turnip 28. I was busily cutting up Perry's miniatures.
You're a bad man. You're a bad man.
Kebab sticks, because I was making some lopers. Now in Turn 28, lopers are they're on stilts because they go to the marshes. So I thought, I'll have to make some of those. So these are my prototype ones.
That's just awesome, and also slightly deranged. So, Michael, have you heard of this before? Have you heard of this Turnip 28? Yeah. Yes, this is Steve is in so deep now that I don't think we can.
He's in so deep. He's got a restraining order in 4 counties.
Yes, I'm banned from several farms. No, I just thought I was working on these last week, and they were just so simple and enjoyable to put together. I've got 4 more to make, but at least I know I can make them now. And all I did was use kebab skewers for the stilts and Perry's miniatures with the base cut off, and then a bit odd, but there we go.
I mean, they do look wicked. They do look wicked.
I can't wait to see the whole unit. I can't wait to see the whole unit painted up though, because they're going to look rather nifty actually, or painted up.
I'm going to put Alex. You guess that's such a pun. He's in so deep, he's taking roots.
He's here all night, folks. He's here all night. So what I found out last week that Max Fitzgerald, the dude behind Turnip 28, is developing a new Turnip 28 game, but with tanks, called Swill.
Right.
And so he's been encouraging people to build their own, kit bash their own tanks. So never want to shy away from a challenge.
I know. I know.
I just thought, what was the most sort of rivety tank I could think of? So I thought of the Semaventi kit from Warlord. So what I did, I bought it, and I didn't look at the instructions when I was putting it together. I just thought, who needs instructions when I'm doing something that's meant to be a bit out there? I ended up making that.
To be fair, it looks more effective than a Semaventi would have been.
I know. Yeah.
It actually looks
Probably very true.
But there was just something really refreshing about building a kit and not once looking at the instructions. And it was just very nice. I was like, yeah, that goes there.
Wait, how come you didn't use a Rubicon kit?
I don't know.
There isn't enough weird beer and coffee in the world to do a Rubicon kit.
I don't know. Do you know what? I'd actually feel quite, because Rubicon kits are so sort of detailed and precision made. I couldn't do it. But this was. I just thought what was the most sort of boxy and rivety, and I just thought of this. So that is basically. I don't know how I put it together, and it's all plastic card and barbed wire and milliput and stuff on there. And it was just, like I said, it was just really, really good. Not following the instructions. It was like when you were a kid and you had Lego and you couldn't be arsed looking at the instructions. You just stick it all together until you had something about 6 foot long. This is what I did with this. That
is pretty cool. I'm just surprised the turret isn't an onion.
I didn't know what to do with the turret. The gun, I don't know where that's meant to go. But the things sticking off the front, they're from another Perry's Archers from the 100 Years' War.
No, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So they've been stuck onto that. So I've not painted it yet because I think he said not to paint them yet because there's going to be sort of factions. So it's just actually
you're getting in there early, is what you're saying.
Yeah, if someone said to me, "Oh, do you want to kit bash a tank for Turnip 28?" I was like, "Yes, I think I'll be doing that." So I had it. I ordered it all about 7 o'clock at night, and it was delivered the next day by Amazon. It's just a kit basher's dream,
right?
So returning to a bit of normality, I've been working. Absolutely, Jonas, you can't go wrong with turnip tanks. You really can't. So I just had to go back to O Group because I hadn't worked it in a while. Do you know what? Do you know the other week I did that Hetzer?
You weren't very happy.
It completely killed my enthusiasm for it. So I thought I can't just walk away from it. So I'm going to have to start again. So I built some Panzer IVs at the weekend, but I posted some pictures because I want them to be a bit. I haven't been weathering or detailing my tanks for O Group, but with these I couldn't resist another shirts them, so I did that.
Yeah, very nice.
Literally a couple of minutes work. And
very nice,
just very, very individual. So today I took the plunge and I started painting late war German camouflage, which is normally sort of my kryptonite because I can't normally do it. But I'm quite happy with those.
Yeah, really good.
Very, very
it was just
cool.
It wasn't dry brushed and it wasn't stippled. It was sort of stipple brushing with a dry brush. But they're almost done. I'm working on them now. They've all been a good wash. They've got details and decals on. And yeah, I've got my mojo back for O Group because it's amazing how one bad miniature, one bad paint job can really kill your enthusiasm for something, and I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the scheme, the pattern. It was just awful. So I'm going to make a new Hetzer, so at least I had a spare one. And then today I've been working on some knights as well for Warlords of Erewhon.
Yeah, you're rising Dom here for.
Oh.
I mean, they are lovely.
They're really good.
Now that you're probably going to throw the rest of the box away or something, aren't you?
I won't be painting knights ever again. I mean, don't get me wrong. The figures are lovely. They're lovely figures, but they just bored the arse off me when I was painting them. I was finding things to try and put detail on them. I was like, they're just silver. I put a bit of gold, a bit of bronze.
Yeah, that's why we all love them, Steve, because you can get them done in about 10 minutes flat. It's brilliant.
So to make them a bit different, I put some Warlord Games Landsknecht heads on there as well, just for a bit of a bit of a change. So that's where we are with those.
Oh dear, who let him in? Who let you? Oh dear.
Oh,
Who let him in? Who let him in?
Let's not mention wet pallets.
No, that doesn't.
Well, that's what I've been up to. So what else have I been up to? I've just got to base 2 more Blood Bowl orcs because I've been back to painting Blood Bowl. What else? A really old Games Workshop. Does anyone remember that figure?
Hang on, let me have a look. Oh, is it a light? Is it an Empire Wizard?
It was given away free in an episode, a copy of White Dwarf in the 90s. And I need a wizard for my Warlords of Erewhon army. I found that. I think this might be older than Ken.
Probably.
No, it won't. No, actually, it won't be older than Ken. I mean, it's probably around. I think it might be 90. I'm thinking 97, 98, probably. But I'm going to repaint it because it's a really good figure.
Very nice.
What else? And I've primed and based another platoon for O Group. So I've got.
So you've been on it. It's successful to say you've had quite a productive week.
I have.
I passed the mantle to him. Look at this.
Oh God, no, Dom.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
you've outproduced me this week. That's for sure.
So go on then, Dom. What have you done? Just painted one army this week. Is that
only one?
all?
Well, no. I've I'm trying to find them now. I did some little buildings. How about that? 15 mil nice. Buildings. They're 3D prints, which I'm actually quite pleased how they came out. They're pretty all right. So they'll be for my O group, and actually because they're pretty much all wooden, they'll probably even do for the 1812 campaign General d'Armée Napoleonics. So quite pleased with those. What else? So I showed these on the Facebook group, but I finished off the pikeman. So this is Sir Henry Tiller's pike to go with the musketeers that I showed last week.
And he's good loyal men for the king.
And he's good loyal men for the king. So that's his battalion now. So the wings with the
very nice
the pike, which I'm quite pleased about. Although I have to laugh, Tim pointed out that he thought it was a reenactment. I think he needs to go to Specsavers because it definitely doesn't look that good. But I was quite pleased how they came out, following the green theme from the flag, really. So. And then I thought they need some commanded shots, so I did them. Which are a bit of a ragtag bag. You'll recognise a few of them, Martin. From,
I do. I recognise some of those in there. You're trying to clear the deck before the next.
I am indeed. Yeah, I just thought to get some of those bloody miniatures out there, and then there were some bits of leftover figures I had in the pile of opportunity. So. Apart from the cavalry, I have pretty much cleared. Oh, and I've got some sort of engineering type things to do. I pretty much cleared my ECW back pile, which is brilliant.
I'd pop up your other figure now because it will get lost in. Pop up your one now. So,
okay. So, as everyone knows, I don't do weird shit, but I do.
So, Michael,
this weird shit.
So, Michael, your miniatures are the only type of fantasy kind of miniatures that Dom will paint. For some, he won't do. He tries to get into and paint other fantasy miniatures. I mean, that is really cool. I'm going to ask you: is that a decal? Or have you genuinely painted an elephant?
Oh no, I did that. No, of course it's a decal. You know me. Jesus Christ. It's a decal.
So when so both myself and Steve kind of started painting up Burrows and Badgers, we just kind of came across it, I think, separately, and we're painting it, and we were showing it off, and Dom was sort of questioning what we were doing, and I think I ordered some of your models and just sent them straight to him, which was the I think it was the pirate otter.
It was
is it a shrew with a rolling pin, which is still one of my favorite miniatures. And then Dom's, I think Dom has been
I cannot explain it, because they are two things. I'm absolutely, we've established I'm not great at doing fantasy stuff. I just, not my bag, really. I have no imagination when it comes to painting figures at all. I have to follow a guide, and yet for some reason those figures, every time I get hold of one, I just something goes off in my head, and I just spend ages just working through them, and I just love doing them. They're like an appetizer before I move on to another couple of million Napoleonics.
You've done a lot now, though, haven't you?
I've done a load. I must have about. I think I probably have the majority of your range already now.
Good,
because I just buy one or two every so often, and your mail order is so fantastic. They arrive pretty much the next day, almost.
There's been a lot of praise for your ordering, your mail order, even from where is he? Don, here he is over in the States. Who's a staunch historical player. I think he'd ordered something. He said that he kind of settled down thinking it's going to take sort of 6-7 weeks, and then they were there in a week or 2 weeks, and he was stunned. So it is something that has been noticed, how fast and how good your mail order actually is.
Extraordinary. Which is good and bad, because the number of times I've sat on here on a stream and thought somebody's talked about Badgers and Burrows, and I thought I'll just have a quick look and see what there is, and suddenly, before I know it, it's in my basket. And I bought it, and it's there about 2 days later. But yeah,
well, we will get onto this, and I'll say this, but I know that what Dom appreciates as well is that they're all metal. Good.
I love the fact that metal. Dom, that is awesome. Yeah.
So I've said I think I'm well known that I'm not a fan of, not normally a fan of metal miniatures, but I can honestly say, hands down, yours are the best metal figures I have ever painted, from start to finish. I didn't complain. In fact, I think did I upload some? There we go.
I don't know if you uploaded.
Oh, there you go. There's... Yeah. I tell you, I love the metal so much, up to the point where I got the bulldog that came, and it's resin.
Yeah.
And I thought I was actually slightly disappointed by that. I thought, that's resin.
Oh, sorry.
But also, I thought it's so big and chunky, I could have put it in a sock and gone down to the local screens and swung it around the head and taken out a few of the unseemlies down there with it. But yeah,
the unseemly.
The unseemlies. You can do bloody hell. I can tell you live near Ascot, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We don't have those sort of hoi polloi in our area. Is that you? Have you got any other bits, Don? No, that's me done. I'm working through some 15mm Germans, which I think are going to have to be completely stripped because they are shockingly bad. So that's
okay. But that's not. Did you buy them part painted?
I did. I bought them on eBay because they looked half decent in the picture, and I thought I could just touch them up a bit. They need a bit more than touching up. So,
I, as you know, have started my next project before I finish my current project, or even the project before that. So I've kind of got this empty thing. So, I painted up a test base of Zulus, my Anglo-Zulu War project. And I enjoyed it so much that I just painted up the entire regiment. I thought, like, why not? Let's just paint them all up. I mean, they're the periplastics. They were just awesome, fun to paint, and I am well and truly and absolutely enthralled by. I say enthralled. That's probably not the right word. Actually, that sounds a little bit. I'm
facial expression on that guy in the middle.
The one at the front.
Yeah.
He's definitely he
really is coming for you with a big way.
I just love this. There's so much. The kit is multi. Obviously, it's multi-part, but there's so much you can do with it. And also you get the parts to make the some with I've got muskets and Martini Henrys. So I've made a couple of skirmishing bases as well. So. in the war, because I bought the hang on, I bought this. I bought the Warlord Zulu book, which is a very nice book, but obviously does not have the level of say, I don't know, the detail. It's got brilliant scenarios and a lot of things in it, but I'm definitely going to be adding my own flavor and list to it, because the Zulu regiments, they did have regiments that were a little bit more elite than other regiments, so I feel they need maybe just a little bit of a reflection in the rules slightly. Although I do understand if you're playing on a 12-foot by 6-foot table, why you might just give everyone the same stat. That being said, all they tend to do for the Martini Henrys and things like that is basically say that half of the units of Zulus can have Martini Henry rifles, and if they do, they get basically an 18-inch range instead of a 6-inch range. So I basically made these because these are on those big red bat bases, although you can't see them. There you go. So the wavy bases. So these can either lock on the front just to indicate those bases, or I thought, bugger it, I'll just field them as little, bases that hop around. But absolutely great fun to paint and do. I think there's about 30. I thought that was a picture on the Perry website. Oh, okay, thank you. I think that's a.
Yes, I think he's complimenting you.
So yes, sorry. So yeah, we got that. They're great fun. That's not even a complete one box of Zulus. I've still got 5 or 6 models left over from one box. Out of that lot. So
wow.
So that's fantastic. So yeah, great fun there. I've got a video coming. And then today I was working, but I did get a lunch break and I painted up a mouse. Anyway, the guy's dragging that. That's I just love the bag of swag. I kind of feel like this is Ken after he's been to a wargaming show. Or things like that. He's dragging everything away. But no, I really enjoyed that.
Either that, he's dragging all his stuff down to the post office to sell on eBay.
That's. Inside there is all of the bits that he's got other people to paint for. It's funny you should say that because VK has sent us some photos. But no, that's great fun because I realised that a lot of the stuff I've got in my warband is all massive. I've got badgers and cats, and I had like one mouse with a crossbow, and then everything else was really big. So I thought, right, I need to get something else that's small in there. But but yes, but anyway, that's enough of. Storm of Steel. I like it when Martin goes off about a tiny historical detail that everyone else missed. Sorry, I'll stop. So anyway, of course, we have Michael here from Oathsworn. So I guess without sort of dancing around the issue, where did you actually come up with the idea for Burrows and Badgers? How was that sort of formed? I mean, was it always there, or is it something that one day just sort of poof, it sort of materialized?
What were you drinking?
Yeah, I mean, really, I'd been working as a freelance sculptor for years, and we'd recently just decided we ought to try and do our own range. And I'd done some dwarves. We'd done a Kickstarter for some dwarves and a few various fantasy miniatures. And it was one of the backers. I was talking to him on the Reaper Miniatures forum. And he just said, "Oh, you should really do some anthropomorphic animals. I just think you'd be good at it because I'd done a lot of animal sculpting before. I'd done sort of model horses and things for different companies. So I said, all right, I'll just give it a try. I'll do half a dozen, see what people think. So I just sculpted the first sort of half a dozen, and people liked them. So I thought, right, I'll make a set. We did a set of 20 and put it out on the first Kickstarter for it, really. So there was no rules or anything for it. It was just literally somebody suggested I should do some of the miniatures, and I gave it a try.
And that's where, and then that's how it started. And what was the response on the? I mean, obviously it was good, but what was the response like on the Kickstarter?
Yeah, no, it went well. I mean, it was obviously we're only a little company anyway, so. But in terms of where we were at the time, it did about the same or slightly more than we'd done on sort of previous Kickstarters for the dwarves and things like that. So I thought, well, I enjoyed sculpting them as well. They were good fun to sculpt because you're very difficult for people to tell you've got it historically wrong.
Yeah.
People do still. I've had various long emails about
Really?
the pipe the Badger Mage is smoking, and how with his social class and the time period, it would be a different kind of. I mean, it was well researched. There was a lot of information about pipes in there, but it is a magic badger at the end of the day. So I wasn't too worried about the historical accuracy. But generally, it means you can get away with a lot. So particularly for casting and that, if I need to fill a gap, I can just throw anything in there, and it's not historically inaccurate. So if I can just throw extra pouches in or whatever to make it easier to cast, I can get away with that. So they're fun to sculpt, and I can just basically do what I want, which is always nice.
Is that freedom something that you enjoy because you can just go wild, basically?
Well, definitely, yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons I gave up doing freelance sculpting, really, because although obviously you're still working for yourself when you're doing freelance sculpting, you still get told what to do. People are still saying, well, this is what we want from you, and you've got to meet that brief, which is entirely fair. But it also means that sometimes you're sculpting stuff that you've just got no interest in, and that really makes it a lot harder to do.
So how did you get into sculpting in the first place?
Just started with conversions, basically. Old Citadel stuff. You just start out, get the green stuff, and it's cloaks, hoods, and like pouches. That's kind of where you start, and that's what I did. You're just putting little bits on and just getting a feel for the putty, basically. Then
you do old school. You don't use computers. It's you're using green stuff. And
I keep being tempted because everyone's doing it these days. But I just don't really fancy it. I feel like I spend a lot of time sat in front of a computer anyway, and it's I like to get the feel of the putty. I like to do something manual, doing something physical. I think there's a lot of advantages to doing it on a computer. In that, I mean, an edit undo would be amazing for putty. If somebody could invent that, that'd be brilliant. But so there's all kinds of upsides to do it on a computer, resizing and things like that. I just one day I might have to do it, but it doesn't appeal to me at all.
Well, it's funny that we've had the Perrys on a couple of times, and they say much the same thing. They're still using old school, techniques, and how they watch how people do it on computers, and how kind of impressed they are with it, but it just doesn't feel right somehow.
Well, he said, didn't they?
Yeah.
He did. Was it Michael? He just he said, he noodled around with it, and then he sculpted Smorg for Games Workshop, and he went, "No, I'm not going to do it again." He just sculpted that big Smorg that you can buy. And he went, "No, I didn't like that," and just went, "No, I'm going to go back to doing the other stuff." That's right, because you sent me through some of your greens, and obviously, guys, I say go over and check out the Burrows and Badgers Facebook group, because it's so incredibly active, and Michael, you're always posting there, but the community in there is so welcoming, and there's stuff going up every 10 minutes in there. There's loads of stuff with people, their own scenarios and scenery and lists and campaigns and all sorts. But I was having a look, and this is one of the ones that in the future I'm going to have to get, because I have a certain affinity with. But what I've got to ask is, how are you now like an expert in the proportions of woodland of animals? Because I'm trying to get my head around. I mean, I've had a go at sculpting it, and it looked like morph at the end of the day, what I created, and so it's not going to happen. So just the thought of doing a human, I mean, do you find are these easier to work on because they're more fun, more interesting than humans, or how, the first time you sculpted an animal, how did, were you, I guess what I'm trying to say is how easy did you find the process compared to, like, if you're sculpting something like a dwarf, something like that?
With all these things, it is what you get used to. I mean, I'd probably struggle to do humans now. It's that long since I've sculpted one. You kind of get out of the way of it. The first time you sculpt a new animal, so like the first time you do a mouse or whatever, you've got to figure out how the heads work. So getting that those bits right, how to work it out. But once you've done half a dozen mice, it's actually quite easy to do a mouse's head because you're literally familiar with the process. You know, how much putty to put on where, and so each start a new animal, it takes you time to figure it out. You end up throwing away various attempts until you get it right. But overall, I think you honestly get used to it as you go. It's like painting. When you're painting you're painting a unit of miniatures. By the time you're on the last one of the unit, you know exactly what you're doing with, you know, what goes where and what colors to use and all the rest of it. So it's just familiarity, really. With the sculpting, it all comes down to the armature, basically. If you get the armature right, proportions-wise and what have you, then the rest of it will work. But if you get anything wrong at that point, then you might not notice straight away. But by the time you get to the end of it, you'll see it's something's not right. There'll be an arm too long or too short, and you know, you end up having to chop it all away and start again.
So, well, you sent me a link to the blog about how you sculpted the badger, and I have that badger mage. I love that, and I actually saved this picture of the armature for for that. And I mean, it's so. I mean, it's bizarre, but in a good way, because obviously we've seen armatures when we've had other guests on here. I mean, the only people I think we've had on here actually do sculpting is the Perrys, although I know we had offensive as well, didn't we, Dom? But
yeah, we did.
Obviously they're dealing with very much rank and file miniatures, and you know, and got, you know, sort of historical figures. So I did love going through this blog post. So and you go through this, and what I'll do, because you've sent me the link, so I'll save that. I'll share that in the chat for people. So if you're interested in seeing how sort of Michael goes about the process of sort of sculpting, and the badger mage, it's not a small miniature either. The badger mage, he's quite chunky, isn't he? He's good. He's nearly 54 mil, something like that. He's pretty big.
He's about 45 to the top of the head. I think badgers are about 45 to 46 mil.
So will you try and keep them all? I guess you try, because your miniatures are all in proportion, i.e. the mice are all, because it's so much of the game system is based around the size of the creature. Do you keep that in? I guess that is in your head when you're sculpting them.
Oh yeah. You got to always, you know, whenever I do a new, say it's a mouse, then I'll have all the other mice, the one I've already sculpted. I've got like a box of them just sat, and I always have them handy to check my sizes and proportions as I'm going. To try and get them all to match up. Doesn't always happen. One of them's a fair bit bigger than the others because it was over the Christmas holidays and everything was at work. So I tried sculpting it at home, and when I got back to work, it's only a couple of mil bigger, but you know, it was.
I thought you were going to say you're on the Christmas.
I thought you were going to say that you got the. I thought you were going to say that the sherry or something like had something to do with that. That's it. No.
So did you have an idea when you started with all that time ago that, you know, you were going to have that graduated scale and have, you know, that they all fitted in? You knew eventually you'd be doing a badger or a whatever the biggest. Probably the bulldog's the biggest, isn't it? Whatever the biggest is, and you'd have something of the smallest. So you knew that there'd have to be a graduation.
Yeah, I mean that was something that came up. Excuse me. When the guy first asked me if I should do it, he'd said there's already people doing anthropomorphic miniatures, but they're all basically the same size. They're all like 28 mil. They're all, regardless of what the creature is, they're all about the same size. He'd been reading the Redwall books, and he said, in Redwall, they're quite different sizes. The badgers are bigger and the mice are little. And he said, so it'd be good to, you know, could you do it like that? And I said, I'll give it a try. And, you know, it works out, I think. Obviously, the downside is your really big ones. We were doing them in metal initially, but you're a lot more limited on what you can do in metal, size-wise. So we've put those in resin now, which obviously lets us get away with a lot more. I mean, the red kite you couldn't do in metal; it just wouldn't fit in the molds. So I mean, overall, we knew there were going to be all different sizes, and we kind of went for what the biggest we could do in a 9-inch mold can, and still make it work. So that's kind of how I established the size for the badger. Was how many of them could we fit in a mold, and will they still cast?
And then go from there. That's fantastic. Because I have seen the odd comment, which is sort of like, you know, when are you going to sculpt a sheep? or something like that. I have seen those kind of questions. But I was going to ask you is that how often do you get, when are you going to do this, or when are you going to do a whatever it kind of exotic animal? Because you do an armadillo, don't you? An Aztec kind of armadillo.
To be honest, I wish I'd never done them. That was before the rules came out. We'd done the first Kickstarter, and we just said, "Oh, what sort of thing would people like to see?" And a small group of vocal people wanted some like overseas traveler kind of miniatures. So I said, "Oh, I'll do them. Why not?" And since then, I've been having to try and fit them in to the background, basically. Everything else is, from the north of England, and so I have to keep trying to squeeze them in, justify it.
It's great. I do remember that because I bought that for my for one of the guys I play against, and that is it carved its way through most of my force before, and then I remember swearing quite a lot about having bought that for him. So you mentioned Redwall there, because I was going to ask you what sort of like inspirations you're looking for, because I when I was younger, and to be fair, I think I still have them somewhere. I have all of the Redwall books, and they were, when I did see this, I mean, obviously I immediately did think of Redwall, because it's a huge series of books, and Brian Jakes was a brilliant author and there was a lot going on. But what do you use for inspiration? I mean, because there seems to be some obviously historical inspiration in there, because you have got sort of like almost Landsknecht looking otters or sort of like paladins. So where do you get all that your inspiration from?
There's a bit of historical stuff in there. I've kind of I mean, it's like any fantasy miniatures range. I think a lot of it's inspired historically anyway, isn't it? You see, you basically people pinch the bits they like from different historical periods. So that like the tortoise is in kind of Roman armor, and you just nick bits that you like the look of, because you can get away with it. So basically, I started out thinking in terms of sort of 6th, 7th century stuff, and everything should be sort of Dark Ages. And then I thought, I'm just going to get bored with that really quickly. So I'll just mix it up and use anything I like the look of from any period and take it from there.
And it works.
Some people
works so well. Well, the thing is, you've managed to get one of the most hardcore historical players that I know, who's sitting below me here in the chat. In the chat on the screen, to sort of break away and paint them up. And
do you know, I think that's part of it, though. I really think that's part of it, is that I like the fact there is that historical bit within it. So when I'm painting up, I almost don't see the fact it's a stoat or a badger at first. It's sort of, then I'm looking at the armor and I'm thinking, well, there's this, he's got some leather whatever on there, and I work it through, and it kind of then I sort of almost compartmentalize, and then I'm scurrying through RSPCA websites to try and find pictures of a stoat so that I can try and get the colouring right on that. So it's it is kind of fun, but I do like the fact it does
your
have
search history must be so dodgy, or like
you know what?
One search you're going to be looking at German, you look at the O group German, next thing at stoats.
To be fair, when I was painting I think it's the hawk, or the bird that I got, I was looking up actual plumage patterns when I was painting mine. But Don, Martin, how taken aback were we when Don posted his painted figures? That we were just like,
oh, it was awesome.
Well, you sent those to me as taking the piss, didn't you? And I think you didn't expect me to do it, and I did it. And actually, I didn't want to do it, but when I did it, I just loved doing them. So, as I say, I don't know what it is. I've never played the game. I have actually got the rules, but I must have done about 30, maybe more figures now, and I just love doing them. They're great. In fact, when the Kickstarter arrives, which I've bought fully into, I will be doing a whole load more, and I'll be really excited about it. So,
absolutely,
always good to hear.
I've got a shot here of the greens that you posted the other day, just to sort of wet you up. And one of the things that I love that you do is that you have I'm going to call them creatures, but you have them in sort of non-combative stances as well. So you have like the chap in the middle with the staff, but or the guy with the torch, and there's others as well, like the Badger Mage is just smoking a pipe. So do you enjoy doing that as well? Just like basically, do you just sculpt whatever how do you decide on the position to sculpt a fox in, for example? I mean, is there any particular? Do you think, that'll look brilliant as a sniper, or is that a cat or a fox? That one I've forgotten.
True.
Right. Generally, I think it's I look out for whatever I'm interested in. I think of a character, basically. I think of how I'd play the character, how I want it in my warband or whatever, and then it's trying to think of a way to make it castable. It sounds, I know it's you shouldn't put the business head on, but you kind of have to. The plan we've got is that everything has to be single piece. And with that comes all kinds of restrictions on what you can get away with in the angles of things and the bits that stick out. You've got to be, because obviously it's got to be able to go into a mold, cast properly, and come out of a mold. So whenever I'm thinking of poses, they have to be things that are going to look good, but also be able to be reproducible. I mean, I see loads of sculpting on the internet that looks amazing, and I look at it and I think, it's going to be in 9 pieces. That it's just doesn't make any sense. From nobody's ever going to build it. Even when they buy it, it's going to cost more because you're going to need 3 molds, and So I've always got one eye on the production side of it when I'm doing the pose to see it will fit, and then the challenge is obviously to try and make it look interesting, and try and get a bit of
I never
character
actually.
into it.
I don't think I actually thought about it before. Is every single one single piece? I think all the ones I have.
Yeah, they're all single piece.
Yeah,
they're all single
fantastic.
piece.
Fantastic.
I think that one of the things that
brilliant.
helps with the painting, because I think if you can sculpt it in one piece, then you've got to be able to get your sculpting tool into every bit of it. And if you can get a sculpting tool into it, you can get a paintbrush into it.
Get a paintbrush in, yeah.
So so I think that helps.
I think the ones that I painted, there was a couple I just sat and painted them in one session. And normally I don't do that with miniatures, but there was a couple. I went from basing to basing, so to base it and then prime it all the way through to basing in a couple of hours. 2-3 hours work on the same miniature. I never normally do that, but the quality and the character just made me want to keep painting, finish it. And it was just, I think I painted the entire lot in about. I think it arrived on the Monday, and I think by the following Saturday I painted them all, which is very, very unlike me.
That's very fast for Steve. That is incredibly.
It's very, very fast for me.
Absolutely. Well, it's probably a good time because we're an hour in already, but I do want to have a chance to talk to you about when you turned it into a game and obviously the plans you have for this. But as you've seen, I know you've joined the Facebook group. So the guys that run the online painting challenge in the Facebook group, and for everyone who's watching, if you want to join the Facebook group, the link's down below. You just have to answer Dom's questions free to get in. There's the Bjorn, Paul, and Warren basically put together these online painting challenges where there's no prize, and effectively it was just a way to do group builds and just share a theme each month. But when we announced that you were going to come on the stream, you're the first guest that we've ever had where there has been effectively a painting challenge in their honor coming on to the stream. So guys, if you want to see the online painting challenge, go over to the Facebook group. It's #OPC, and then I think they're up to 8. The latest one that's coming out is insane. I've seen the latest one. It's all to do with creating a diorama within a box to go on a wall, and it's blown me away. And I'm not going to share any of those because they're going to be coming out in the coming weeks. But they put up a bonus OPC challenge, which was for people to effectively paint anthropomorphical animals in their warbands and just to share on the stream, just in honor of Michael taking the time to come here. And I know what's great is that there are some hardcore historical players who have actually now taken the plunge and have ordered them and painted them as well, and I think they've well and truly been bitten as well. Absolutely Rich. So to kick things off, so Andy, so I've had to label these all separately in there. So Andy, so as ever, Warren has sent me a list of stuff, and I've had to go through and highlight things this time to make sure they're in. So Andy has just sent a picture over his entire collection, his warband.
Oh my lord!
As he likes to do it, and I straight away can see that he's got the hares. It's the hares and the rabbits that can jump over you, isn't it, in the game? Because I don't have anyone with that ability yet in my warband.
I think I've got most of those. They're brilliant.
They do.
I love the
Especially
red eyes on the white rabbit. That's brilliant.
I do. Definite Alice in Wonderland vibes. He's gone a bit postal since Alice. So, Bjorn, he's just so he painted one, I believe, and then he sent in three more. So he's done, and they're just wicked.
I love the Adder. That is one of my favourite figures. Is the Adder mage? I think he's brilliant.
I like the cat, the lady cat with the sniper rifle is just tremendous. I love that.
Is that the is that mouse? Is that the paladin mouse? Is that the warrior one?
Because it probably is. Yes.
In our games, in our little local group, I think it was either this mouse or another mouse, and we just could not kill it, and it just ran riot through everything. And every time he comes out with it,
it's like a real mouse trying to catch the damn thing.
Absolutely fantastic. Dalibor has sent in his collection as well.
Oh wow!
Wow!
Absolutely fantastic. And I've got to say, I mean, they're all lovely, but my personal favourite, well, there's two, I can't grab it, is the fox at the top. Purely for the tail. The tail is so cool.
Yes.
Awesome.
And then the little skulking archer in the bottom right going through the underbrush.
Going through the undergrowth. That is brilliant.
Fantastic. I mean, it really does bring out people's imaginations. Now, here we have so this is Don. So this is the one that it winged its way over the Atlantic. And he painted it up straight away, and we have the awesome pirate,
the pirate,
which is very cool. And I know he's very, very taken with the miniatures, so I dare say you'll probably be getting another order up from Todd very, very, very shortly. Next we've got Gaza has sent in his collection. Now, he's got a few more now. That is wicked. But these are some of the more recent ones, aren't they, Michael? Are these the Witch Hunter?
Yeah, you got some of the Witch Hunters in there. Yeah,
they're very.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get that badger. I love the fact he's put the smoke coming out the badger.
I was going to say the smoke is a really nice touch.
That is just awesome.
I
think that might be being ordered right this second. That one.
Clickety click.
Excuse me. Well, I just go on your website.
This is where you see Michael reach behind into one of those, but just put it straight into the bag. Luke, who's the chap I game with, who's going to be running the game at Crackcon, has done a couple of spellcasters. So we've got the Adder again as well. So that I dare say they'll be coming over. Paul is straight. Now these aren't Oathsworn miniatures. He's done Emperor Bear. Basically, it's Teddy Emperor Bonaparte and his gourd.
These are Mad Shawns, aren't they?
These are Mad Shawns because I have some of these. Oh no, he gave them to Haley. He gave them to Haley. I have nothing. Fantastic stuff.
Brilliant.
Lovely stuff. Now Warren, who's the mad bastard who kind of does everything. So this one again, this isn't one of your miniatures, Michael, but he 3D printed this because Warren's an Aussie, so he felt like he had to keep it regional. So he's done a pirate captain from town.
Love that.
I genuinely thought that was a real feather.
Just
for a while,
awesome how he's painted that. Wow,
it's so cool. I mean, Warren does like paint. I mean, anything. I mean, I remember I have given him a challenge. He's got to paint that. Is it that Red Riding Hood miniature that Weird have put out with the wolf in the granny's?
Oh yes,
whatever. So I hope he's going to get on there. Next up, so this is from. So these are painted by Kev, who's my mate. Now he's painted these for Luke, and this is for Crackcon. These are the miniatures that are going to be used on the day that Luke's provided. So he's out. These have all been painted up. So Kev has painted these up for Luke. Awesome. So these are the ones that are going to be used in the demo game. Which is, I believe, is all about escorting. I don't want to ruin it, but escorting this little mouse lady, abbotess monk at the front to the pub. So yeah, these are all coming over. So yeah, these are from Kev, and I think he's painted these up in a week. So I think Luke gave them to him last Wednesday. So Absolutely. Yorkshire's just says, Michael, how do you feel about how do you feel when you see your work and sort of how it's interpreted and people's takes on it? How does it feel?
It's always a privilege, to be honest. It's having sculpted stuff, you put the time in, and then it's just so nice to see people actually painting it, getting them on the table. I mean, I've got tons and tons of stuff that I've bought and just stuck in boxes and forgotten about. So the fact that people are getting them and enjoying them and putting paint on them and using them, it's just, it's fantastic.
It must be really cool. So the next one, so we have another Aussie, so Steve, and again, he wanted to keep it regional, and he had this miniature, which was a special, as I understand it, I think it was an exclusive miniature to help raise money when they had the wildfires. So we have a berserking koala with an axe. So that was his take.
Brilliant.
I mean, they are vicious little buggers, aren't they?
They are vicious
anyway. In real, aren't they? In real,
and
life,
they stink as well.
Do they? Do they?
Yeah, apparently they
I
do.
didn't know that.
So my daughter told me.
And then Steve Brewster. So people were posting up until. It's not O group.
It's not O group. Alex doesn't understand.
No.
It's not World War II. Bless him. It's because he's been digging up shower blocks all week. He's been digging up shower blocks. I've been digging up Roman hypocausts. Now, Steve, I've got to say, people were posting up until like half an hour before we went live. So Steve Brewster, he's again got the Otter Pirate, and then it's like the Highwayman, but again. It's just that it's the Robin Hood Fox from Disney, really? just retooled. I love it. He's back for more. And then Andy Shaw has posted. Now, Andy, I know you've posted some wider shots of these afterwards, but I could only get one photo because this is all I could fit. So, guys, I encourage you to go over, and unless Dom, you can get on Facebook and get the wide shot of the bases that Andy's put up. But this is Andy's first miniature, so he ordered these and got these painted up today, I believe. But as you can see, the base does continue on quite a way, and he's gone all out on the base. So fantastic stuff. I for some reason I can't open Facebook at the moment, Dom. So I don't know if you're able to.
I'm in there. I'll find it.
If you can grab those and upload those, and we'll show those. But guys, that is fantastic stuff. I think that's probably the most. I don't want to say coordinated painting effort that we've seen here on the PCP. Normally we've got everything from 40k through to World War I, Napoleonics to Carthaginians that spread out, and Burrows and Badgers is definitely on there. But that in the last couple of weeks, I think there's definitely been a big uptake in painting anthropomorphic animals, and so yeah, thank you everybody for sending those in.
Do you know what I was going to say? When I painted mine, I don't normally show people. So my friends that aren't into gaming, I don't normally show what I do. But I showed them, and they were genuinely interested in them. There was something about them that even people who aren't into the scene, don't game, don't paint, found them interesting. I think that's just a mark of how good they are. Is that normal people like them. It was brilliant.
That's good to hear. Yeah. Thank you. If you can impress the normies.
Oh, yes. No, my friends were genuinely interested in them, which is something I only have to mention. I paint and they're all asleep. They just don't bother. But they were genuinely interested in how they looked. And, they're like, why have you painted those? Or,
there we go.
Wow.
There we go. That's just brutal. I want to know whose head is in the pot, but that is just awesome.
There is another one. I'm just uploading it.
Has he scratch built the guillotine?
I don't know.
That's scratch built. That's just it. I mean, it's just wicked. It's just very cool. Yes, he did stick the other one on in an equally elaborate base as well.
There we go.
There we go as well. Now, is that a human skeleton he's chucked in there? Or is Probably. He? Have we gone? Is he got something else? That'd be wicked. That's the armor on that is wicked. I love the burnished look on the armor.
Brilliant.
Very clean, very very clean painted. That.
Oh God, is that Maximilian Rapid Spit? Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
right.
God.
Oh dear, they're all coming out. Well, what I think we'll do, if it's okay, if it's right, Michael, we'll give you just a what would you? Oh dear, who is that, James? I don't know. I don't think you can ask someone who sculpts miniatures that question. You're effective. They're basically just like saying, if you were going to put one of your models into turn 28, what would you do for it?
I mean, it's just lumps and bumps and bits of roots and stick a few tufts on, really, isn't it? I mean, it's, you know,
That's about it.
I'd probably just start again and sculpt something new, because that's what I do.
Some kind of plague doctory.
I was gonna say I couldn't bring myself to do anything to any of these the Burrows and Badgers miniatures. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. It would be like, I don't know. It just feel wrong.
Oh, but you'll do that to a lovely Perry model.
They're plastic. That's what they're there for. Have clippers and super glue. Will stick tufts on things. It's just the way things are.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. Well, what I think we'll do, just to insight this, if we we'll just take a very quick break to go through some of the latest Wargaming news, and then we'll come back with Michael, if that's all right, and we'll chat about the game and sort of the system and what you've got planned, because I know you've got
you
plans.
set it up as a business. That's the thing I can't work
and you
out.
set it up as a business, and
Ashley's taking that step to turn this into a business, making weird animals. I mean, brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, Dom, do you want to get things started? Because I know you were in here posting things early.
Let me just scroll back to the top of the. Here we go. So, new battle group, scenario book. West Wall was out in very shortly. I think it's not quite out yet, but it will be. So this is the Allies breaking into Germany in the autumn of 1944. I know a lot of fans of Battle Group.
I imagine Robin will be very happy about this.
I think he was. So it's really good. But also they say there's another 3 en route. So in the bit down below it says Battle Group Migration and Battle Group Casino will be the next couple. So that's exciting for those who play that. I think it's a really cool system. I used to play it a lot, but I seem to have transitioned to a certain O group now, so I don't play it as much. But it was a good system, really good fun. Our friends Reconqueror Design has come out with some more.
I know it's
ridiculous.
I know it's ridiculous. What you said. I mean, these are just casualty figures, aren't they?
These are just casualties. Yeah. I mean, just amazing. So I think Berber falling officer, and then these Berber spearman casualty figures, really nicely done. I just think they're awesome. Really good.
They will be finding their way onto my bases.
Well, knowing your bases, they will definitely be part of it. I'm very prepared to guess.
I like it.
So I think that was all I've seen. I did see something else, but I can't remember what it was, so I can't remember.
Okay, well, I had a couple of things. The first bit of news is I forgot about the first comment, which was by Jeremy Brooks, who put this comment up 30 seconds after I put the post up or put the stream up about 6 days ago. He was sitting there and then put up the post saying, "Am I first?" Yes, you were, mate. You were first. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten you. And we appreciate it. So some of the news that's coming in. So those of you who know Ashiro Terrain, they do a lot of Japanese terrain and near future terrain. They're now branching into the medieval set, and they've released their first one, which is a medieval townhouse, and this is all resin. But it's got full interiors, so they're not single. It's not single piece. I don't think, or unless the floor's a single piece, I believe it. So the walls and everything will come separate. They are really, really nice. Is that that's a bloody miniature, isn't it? He's got.
It is a bloody miniature. Yeah.
It's anyway. They are really, really nice terrain pieces. And I think he does a lot of commission work as well. But they're now looking to expand into their medieval range. So do go over there and have a look. Everyone's tagged me in this, from my family to people on here, and that is so it's not particularly related to miniatures, but it is that the Kingmaker board game is getting a re-release by Gibson's on Kickstarter, and I believe everyone just is basically waiting for me to buy it and use it to play campaigns in the Wars of the Roses, which I imagine will happen. I imagine I will, absolutely.
I'm intrigued by it because it's a really good game. So what have they actually done differently to this? That's what I'm don't know. Reading through the blurb,
I think
it
it's
just
seemed
to have made it prettier.
Yeah, I think that's it, because it's out of print, so it's just a reprint with.
Okay, you didn't realize it was out of print. Okay, I've got an old copy somewhere. So it's a good game.
It is very cool. Next up now, everyone knows I like the skirmish game Bushido. And so they've got some releases coming out, one of which is the Drunken Master. It's a new sculpt of him, which is very, very cool. And they've also got some, funny enough, their latest faction that they've just put up called, is it the Inuai? Are also basically foxes and mad wolves that are running around doing things. So these are all coming out in the near future. So for those of you who play Bushido, there's plenty coming. It is a game that I enjoy. It was a toss-up between what I was going to bring to Crackcon, whether it was going to be this or 0200 hours, but 0200 hours won out in the end. I did put up some pictures, but it's done that weird thing again where they've gone. But Fireforge Games have got some have got the Berber plastic infantry coming out, as well as the Black Guard infantry, which is music to my ears, because I was about to go and drop a load of money on some models which I won't say who they're by, but I felt they were kind of ropey, but nobody made them. No one else made them. So I'm holding off on that for the time being. Other than that, just to say, of course, we are coming up to Crackcon. There's only 6 episodes of the Plastic Crack podcast left, which is beforehand, which is slightly terrifying. So, of course, we will be producing some more dice to go into there. And if you remember, these are the dice from the last one. So we will be doing some more. Potentially we've got the choice of green, black, or like a purpley white. So I don't know how the chat is feeling about that. What's your feelings towards that? If there's enough interest like last time, then we can make them available in extra sets, but I'd imagine that everyone who wanted them has bought them in red. But if you really want to complete your collection, let us know, comment or set up a post, and if there's enough interest, then we will put a wider order out after the event. I think that's it for the news. It was a relatively short one this week. That's good. There's sometimes where it goes on. So, Michael, the game itself. When did you decide these miniatures need a system?
Kind of during the first Kickstarter when we were doing it. People were asking what should they do with the miniatures? What are they for? At the time, I was just like, well, if you like them, buy them and paint them. And, find something to do with. There's plenty of systems you can use, miniatures with. You don't have to be tied to a particular miniatures game or anything. You can use them for anything. But obviously, the more we did, the more people were asking, is there a game to go with them, basically. So I thought, well, we ought to do one, basically. That's what it came down to. Just people were asking, and I thought, okay, we'll have to do it.
But you don't do rules normally. It's not your background, is it? So, I mean, was that a bit daunting to do that, or did it just sort of flow naturally from the models?
Yeah, not really. It's like when you've been wargaming for years anyway, you're forever doing house rules and stuff. Everyone's had a go at, modifying things and changing things and writing scenarios and bits like that. So we all kind of do it. And I'd started writing another set of rules for a sort of 14th century skirmish game. And I just used that as the basis for it. Changed up the dice because that was a 2d6 system, but the core rules of it were pretty much the same. I just went for the polyhedral dice because I thought it would help me differentiate between the different sizes, and just wrote it from there, basically.
That's fantastic. And then how long did you spend developing it really, and sort of playtesting it before you actually put it out?
For the first version, not that long, to be honest. Again, it's like a business sort of thing. I had it's a really bad way to do your deadlines, but the end of the tax year was coming up, and I kind of had to order the books to because you either spend the money and get the stuff in, or you pay the tax on it. So like the first print run, I kind of ordered at about 10 to 12 the night before the end of our tax year, and then just we went from there. So
brilliant,
because it's
okay. Absolutely.
It's
so
weird how many of you. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
No. Sorry, no. Carry on. No. How many decisions? I mean, you must find out. You say you're doing it as a business, so many. I mean, decisions, creative decisions. The business will affect those creative decisions. That's just the way it's going to be. So some things that you want to do or you aspire to do aren't quite right at this time, or you have to consolidate a little bit on what you're doing. So because obviously you're still here, COVID, there was obviously the situation that was COVID, and and some companies didn't make it through, but you still are, and the game seems to be growing and picking up a lot of traction as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of your decisions are enforced by different business aspects. I mean, things like you're doing a Kickstarter, you have to think about things like how many figures you're putting in is influenced by what the final weight of an all-in box is going to be in your packaging, because we'll kind of have to keep it below 2 kilos, because after that you're looking at different shipping methods. And
I didn't even think
all
about
these,
that.
It's all crazy stuff like that just literally you wouldn't think when you're thinking, okay, how many mice do I put into this, this Kickstarter? You're thinking, okay, well, each one's going to be another 35 grams. Where does that take us? And those kind of things do influence your decisions, but you have to get those right. Otherwise, you can just move yourself into a different bracket on the posting, and suddenly you're losing money on the thing, and then your business is gone, and that's what happens. I think a lot of people don't consider fully the business side of things, and that then affects kind of the life of their game, basically. I think with Burrows and Badgers, what's helped with it is loads of times I've been tempted to start doing something else, because I've got so many different games that I've got half written or fully written, or miniatures ranges I've started sculpting, and it's tempting just to do them. But I think you keep on developing a game and supporting it, and a lot of people buy in at the start because they see it, they're interested in it, and they like it, and that's great. But I think a lot of people, you need to still be going in 2 or 3 years for them to think, oh yeah, I did fancy that, and it's still there, and it's still being supported, and I've seen people playing it, so now I'll get involved. I think a lot of companies kind of fire and forget games, and especially skirmish games, I think. Less so battle games, but skirmish games particularly, you get a solid year of, here's a load of stuff for our skirmish game, and then next year we're looking at a new skirmish game. And it just, people like support, basically.
And it's quite a challenge for you to then, I mean, from that point of view, to go into something pretty niche. I know people ask for it and everything else, but it's still a risk to suddenly start and then to run it as a business. You obviously felt very comfortable that you could because you continue to do Kickstarters on a regular basis to keep refreshing the range and bring out new things. But ostensibly, it's the same grand idea, isn't it? It's this whole load of woodland animals kicking shit out of each other in a wood somewhere. Basically, isn't it? But still, people love. I mean, I know the models are fantastic, and that's why a lot of us buy it anyway. But did you feel comfortable that it would have that longevity and keep you and make it into a business?
Honestly, not a clue to start with. I mean, as I say, we've still got other fantasy ranges and that, but that's not really what 90% of what we sell is Burrows and Badgers stuff. I think it helps that it is a very much a niche thing. I mean, Wargaming is a niche thing in itself, isn't it? Obviously, but I think it's more or less, if you want to play an anthro skirmish game, there's not a lot of options out there, kind of thing. Ours is the only, way.
Hang on, can you just rewind that? I mean, not many people would say that. I think it's Oh, I just think I'll do that
Yeah.
sort of skirmish game.
It's pretty, it's pretty unique in its field, and I think that helps. It does at least it helps you stand out. You're clearly something different. I mean, we could have released another range of early Imperial Romans, but everybody's got early Imperial Romans.
Yawn. Yeah.
And it's that's it. So at least it's different, and I think that helps. It catches people's eyes. Some people absolutely hate it. Inevitably, you're going to get that, but at least it does. People tend to either really like it or really hate it, and hopefully there'll be enough people who like it that I can keep making.
That's it. Well, and I think it's partly from what I've seen anyway. It's part of the way it's grown sort of organically by following what you've been doing, but also just the passion that's behind it. Because I've just popped up this picture you sent me of this gang, which I just realized I hadn't seen a couple of these miniatures before. I'm just looking at the guy on the right with all of the potions in it, or watches, I can't tell, in there, and and it just a fact, it's just that attention to detail, and just I think people can see, and as you said, these are all sort of hand sculpted, and that level of care, and I think that resonates a lot with people, especially in sort of like now the rather mass-produced market today. This reminds us all of Magic in Wind and the Willows, Badgers versus Weasels. What's it like? That's very, very true. I did try and show my daughter Watership Down, and my wife told me off. The other day. I mean the real one, not that thing that come out like a couple of years ago, the CGI thing, the proper one. But I mean, so I just put up this one here. I mean, again, the sort of the range of characters and everything like that. Obviously you've just done a Kickstarter. Do you jot down ideas for new miniatures all the time, or do you have a sketchbook for them, or how does it work?
I've got a list basically. I've just got a long list of things that either I've decided I want to sculpt or things people have suggested, because they're forever making suggestions, a lot of which I totally ignore, because if I don't want to sculpt it, I'll do a really bad job if I try. I have to actually, I have to want to do it to make it look good. But
Michael, do you know what I've always wanted to see? I know it probably won't get done, but this is just me. This is an emu.
An emu.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a kid,
wouldn't it?
I know when I was a kid, I was terrified of emu, with Rod Hull.
Oh yeah, I can understand that.
Unbelievable.
I just thought it'd be quite. I know it'd be massive, but I'd love to see something like that.
Absolutely.
That's just the way my brain works, I think.
GP says Burrows and Badgers got my wife into wargaming. Now she'll play Muskets and Tomahawks too, Test of Honor and loads, but Burrows and Badgers will always be our love. There we go. That's you see, weirdly, my wife hasn't played Burrows and Badgers yet. I've got her in with Black Powder that I managed to get her to play. That she now really enjoys it, and because she now kicks the shit out of me at everything we play. Which is why I don't particularly want to play Burrows and Badgers with her, because I really enjoy it, and I don't want to get beaten put to a pulp by my wife. Which is I mean, obviously it's yourself and your wife Jo, who you run the business, you do business together, but it's both your full-time jobs, right? That's you do it. Does Jo play as well? Do you bounce like ideas off each other at the time? Because I know Jo's very active on the Facebook group as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's always been quite an obsessive gamer. Not well. I know she does do the wargaming as well, but she likes board game. Any game, basically, board games, card games, war games, anything. She likes gaming, and obviously painting miniatures as well. She's into that. Obviously, day-to-day work is not that kind of stuff, unfortunately. It'd be nice if you spent most of your time playing games and painting miniatures. Most of it's just packing orders and stuff. So, but yeah, it's great to work together. I think that definitely makes it a bit easier, because you're both, you kind of when you go home on a night and it's been either a good day or a bad day, you both understand what the day's been like, and that makes it a lot easier, I think,
Absolutely. And was it? Was it? And was it when you made the decision to make this your primary business, how sort of easy a decision was that? I mean, was it a case of like, well, I'm going to do it, I'm going to go for it?
It just kind of grew out of what I was doing previously, really. I mean, I'd done various jobs, none of which I liked. I'm terrible at working for people because I don't like being told what to do. So I never last long in a job because they'll say, oh, this is what you do, and I'll be like, well, why do you do it like that? That's there's a much better way to do it than that. And then obviously we disagree, so I tend not to last very long. So I was self-employed. I initially I worked for Games Workshop for a bit in one of their stores, and then after that I thought I'll just try doing a bit of freelance sculpting, and that's what I did for years, for a good 15, 16 years before we did Oathsworn. I was just doing freelance sculpting for people, war games, miniatures, and things like giftware industry and model horses, that kind of thing. So I was a freelance sculptor for a very long time, and it's literally it grew from that, where I just thought, well, it'd be nice to have our own ranges. It'd be nice to be able to decide what I sculpted for myself and then produce it and take it from there. So it was basically
quite a jump to do that, though, isn't it? To go from I know it's still a fairly not exactly a definite income or anything else doing sculpting for other people, but to then suddenly start to go, right, I'm going to create a whole load of animals and other creatures and sell them as a full-time business. That's a hell of a jump.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we did it gradually, if you like. I mean, you do your first set, and then if they've sold, you can push on and do more. At the end of the day, I felt like the option's always there to take on more freelance work if I needed to.
Yeah.
So there was, you've got that to fall back on because you're effectively doing the same thing. So once it had grown to the point where you're spending a lot of time doing the other aspects, doing casting and sorting out production and all the rest of it, then you have to kind of commit, make a decision. I think the hardest decision was taking on premises. We moved into the workshop here about 4 years ago, I think it was, and that was knowing you were going to have 12, 13 grand a year just in kind of rent and rates and all the rest of it that you've got to find before anything else. You kind of that was we put it off for sort of a good 5 or 6 years working out of home and just piling everything, boxes everywhere.
Yeah. I understand it. So I own my business as well, and our two big leaps are: one, getting premises; second, employing other people. Those were our big leaps, and it's still sort of you look at that and go, do you remember when we just used to work out of our houses? Do you remember that? Do you remember how everything seemed a little bit easier back then? No, if you
do you cast your own figures as well?
I do for kind of day-to-day production. When it's a Kickstarter, we get someone else to do it just because it's so many miniatures. I'd never get the rest of the day job done if we were doing that as well. So day-to-day stuff, ongoing orders, I do the casting here.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
So
that's unusual, isn't it?
You're making them on site as well.
Yeah. Most people outsource that bit, don't they? I mean, that's interesting. Why do you do it yourself? Is it just nobody else would do a good enough job for you, or is it just because it's so special?
There's a bit of that. It's more. I mean, it's an extra cost. You try and this isn't a big business. We kind of cut costs wherever we can. You get increasing costs in things like the alloy costs have gone through the roof lately.
Yep.
As far as I'm aware, they've gone back down a bit now, but I haven't bought any since then. So you're kind of cutting costs wherever you can, and plus it's actually quite good fun. I quite enjoy doing the casting, and so it's just one more job that I can do. It does slow down the sculpting a bit because we're doing everything here. When you're having to do VAT returns and then do a bit of casting and then do some orders, and you get to the end of the day and you haven't really done anything creative. So I tend to only do sculpting things on evenings and weekends. But as I say, it's like the next step would be to hire someone to do it. But you're looking at that's obviously a massive increased cost because your first employee is always
Yeah.
going to be the most expensive anyway, because you've got your insurance, you've got to do your P11, there's so many other aspects you've got to have. I mean, they'll want holiday pay, for goodness sake. What's that about?
Oh, yes, that's it. No, and you'll be checking. You're going to make sure that everything is you meets what you want to do, and you get to that point where you're sort of like, oh, I could have just done it myself at this time if I had to train it. But no, absolutely no. So my next question is, where are you finding the time to work on? Because you're putting together a campaign system, aren't you, for Burrows and Badgers? So how on earth are you finding the time with all of this? Because you sent me the map of Northumbria. Now, what I loved, because obviously we can see where this is where this is based. I hope Ken's still watching. But I love that Grimsby. Or Grimsby, as it should be known. But how are you? I mean, first of all, is this something that you've been developing for a while? Because I think I've often seen quite a few comments about a campaign system. Is that something that's come from the community because the community have asked for it so much, or was it always a plan for you to do?
No, it's just, I mean, obviously there's the basic campaign system in the rulebook, but I wanted to do a map-based campaign. I feel like map-based campaigns are generally good in that they give you a structure and a start and an end, which is something campaigns generally benefit from. And I just thought it'd be really nice to have one. I wanted to put it in the rulebook to start with, but we had a limit on space. We only had 30,000 words to work with for the Osprey version. So it just basically I couldn't fit it in. So I left that out. We just went with basic scenarios, and I thought, okay, I'll try and do it as just a campaign supplement. And yeah, I mean, it's been developed off and on for the last couple of years, and it's more or less there now. To be honest, we've done like the actual campaign map bit. The trial rules for that are in one of our Oathsworn journal PDFs, so people could try it out and let me know what they think. And the actual fighting side of things is just like it's basically like an open battle scenario, but with sort of about 40 different kind of missions you can do. Like it's kind of secondary objectives, basically thing. So it's not as complicated as it sounds. It should be pretty straightforward to do once I've got it finished, all the layout finished and the art and everything. I've cropped it down from what it was originally. It's like when you start things, you put all the ideas you can think of in there. And, so many different options, and you just end up with hundreds of pages, and nobody's ever going to actually use any of it. So.
And how many players is the campaign going to be? Is it just 2, or is it any number of warbands that can be used?
It's aimed at 6 warbands, either a couple of players with 3 apiece, or split it up. And do it with so it's aimed at like 3 aside, basically 3 warbands aside is the ideal kind of way to do it.
Okay, that's awesome. Right, so we've got me, Dom, Steve, Ken. We need to grab 2 other people, and then we can have a PCP campaign.
I think we should get Alex into it.
No, do you know who would be the ultimate Burrows and Badgers player?
What,
Ken.
Yorkshire?
Yorkshire.
Oh, Yorkshire, Ken.
trying to explain that to Ken. Oh, I'd need a.
Well, there's 2 things there. You got to explain what you mean by badgers and burrows, and then B, you got to explain what a skirmish means.
To him, a skirmish is 50,000 models on the board. That's it. Just to put this context, basically, his idea of a pipe, it's not a pipe block unless it has 96 models in it at 28 mil. This is his chap. He's upset with me. If he's watching this, you're right, Ken. But he's upset because we're in our little event that we've got coming. He's only got a 12 by 8 board instead of a 12 by 6. I can't remember. It's the biggest board there, so he's having to scale down. He's only a skirmish as far as he's me there with like
Ken,
3.
That's like making Ken play on a cocktail trolley or something. That's the size of his war game. What's this? 12 by 8. I'm not going to get 4 feet. He's going to struggle. Oh, wait there. He's here.
Seeing a badger sword fighting with a ferret would not be the weirdest thing I've seen on the streets of Hull. Absolutely. So there we go. Sorry. So with the campaign and everything coming out, what is so this is always an open-ended question, really. But what is next? If you got because we've obviously you've got some more greens, and I say that this is what's going to get my wife to paint it, because my wife loves newts, loves things like this. She sent me these over. So are you sculpting these ready for a new set of releases, or are these just things that sort of you've sculpted because you wanted to and it was there in your head at the time?
I mean, it'll there'll be a new release sooner or later. I've got to get, again, it's a business thing. You kind of got to get a handful at least together so that you can fill a master mold, because there's no point making a master mold for a couple of figures. So I need kind of volume of them. The newts, really, just because people keep saying to me, why don't you do some newts? They've been saying it for so long, because they're not in the rule book. There's no stats for them or anything. I'll have to stat them up. But they said I'll do some newts, so I've done a couple of newts just to keep, hopefully, people happy. Same with the other
is it
one,
newts where their tail comes off or
waterfall.
something? Is it something like that? Is that newts? The tail comes off.
I think.
I know some lizards do. I don't know. I don't want newts.
Yeah,
these are great crested newts, male in breeding. That's apparently the crests and the frills and all that. They don't get any of that most of the year, but everyone expects to see it. So
this is what I imagine. I have to deal with these little buggers in my day job, because obviously they're protected. So I can't move them. I come to do archaeology, and we get onto the site, and I say to my clients, I was like, right, are there any newts? And they say, we don't know. It's like, that's not a good enough answer. You get an ecologist out, the ecologist will come out and basically go, yeah, you're not doing anything. Or we have to make newt highways. So we'll be machining away, we'll be digging away. And then the thing is, they're like, you have these people, I'm going to diverge. They come along, they take away the newts, and this is what they're like when they're moving them. They're not happy about it. And then we dig a hole, it fills with water, and the sods just throwing themselves back in. So we've just made them a swimming pool. So no, sorry, a bit of a divergence, but yes, these do look awesome, absolutely wicked. I didn't see that one before. That one uploaded. That's very cool.
That's the water bowl, isn't it? Yeah. That's brilliant. See, I know my little animals. I know.
Oh, you do. That's it.
Michael,
John, are you going to... sorry, go on, Steve.
Just a question for Michael. When you... With your metal miniatures, do you clean them in-house? Do you tidy them up before you send them out?
I do a bit. I shouldn't, because I get carried away. I see so many photos of the miniatures that when I used to see them with people who left mold lines on, I think it used to really annoy me. So I'm a bit, when I'm casting them, I'm always throwing them back, the ones I don't like the look of anyway, but as you do. But I do get a bit carried away and give them a little bit of cleanup before I send them. I don't do it for Kickstarter stuff. Generally, Kickstarter stuff, we've got like 10, 12,000 miniatures to do. So I kind of do a minimum job there. I just, make sure the bigger bits of sprue are cut off and what have you. But on the orders, I do get a bit carried away sometimes.
I was going to say, the reason I ask is when I got mine last year, I sat down, I opened the box, and I was like, something's wrong here. Why are these so clean? I didn't do any tidy up on any of those figures at all. They were just in 100% perfect condition. And given that I'm not normally a fan of metal miniatures, I was just blown away by I thought that's what you call quality service right there. I don't even have to clean my own miniatures. They're brilliant. But I was totally blown away by the standard. Really, really so good.
You almost converted into metal, didn't you?
With that range, absolutely. I mean, I've never enjoyed painting metals as much as I did those. I mean, normally if painting metals, I'm like, oh god, it's like a chore. I was looking forward to painting these. I mean, the little it was a field mouse nun. I think I sat down and painted an hour, and it was just so good. I just really enjoyed it, and it's not something I've ever really painted before. Normally, I try and kit bash and convert as much as I can, but with these, no, just straight out the box, straight on the painting thing, and just so much fun. Really, really good.
Excellent. Thanks very much. I'm glad you're enjoying them.
Well, that explains a lot of it. If you're doing the moulding yourself, that explains a lot, because that does give the chance to do the quality control. I had no idea that you did. I didn't know anybody did their own moulding at the same time as sculpting them.
I get the moulds made by someone else, because I haven't got a moulding press here. We do the casting. We get the moulds, and I'll get the molds back in here, and then I'm
okay,
casting them. So
yeah.
molding generally, it's one of those things that you're not doing enough. I keep thinking, should I get a vulcanizing press? But it's a few £1,000, and I'm not going to do it that often. And I'd have to learn a new skill as well. It's not anyone can bung them in a mold, but getting them to actually cast is a different matter. Getting the depths in the right place, and
But then on top of this,
I
I assume you're painting the paint jobs as well. These are your paint jobs, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
So on top of
I'm far too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm far too tight to pay anyone to, technically I should.
I mean,
you're supposed to.
It's so impressive. It really is. I mean, it's fantastic. And as I say, what's lovely is how it's grown, and I can see, especially as you say from things like the Facebook group, and especially, I mean, our Facebook group isn't very well. To be fair, it's getting bigger. But the number of people who just say, "Oh, I've picked up some of these models, I'm going to try it out," and then they join. I can see them in the Burrows and Badgers group as well, and how that's growing. I mean, you have new members joining daily, hourly on your group. I can see they're always popping in. People saying hi, and then within a couple of days, there's a warband there. It looks.
It's actually a really good group. It has been a really good group. We've not had any major problems with it at all. Because when we first set up a Facebook group, people were like, "Oh, you'll be moderating endlessly. There'll be fights and spam and constant grief." And it's not been that at all. I don't know how much of it's just down to the actual game itself, in that it's not going to attract the same sort of hyper competitive gamers, I suspect, that you get in some groups, because you're only there if you like painting little models of furry animals. So you're probably not there for fights. You're not there for trouble. So it's a very
it's a very fun game. I mean, obviously, like any game, you can be competitive, but it's a very fun game. Obviously, I'm thinking of the Lost in the Mist scenario. I don't think I've laughed so much in a good way. I had so much fun when initially when playing it, because that was also the scenario that someone chose to introduce me to the game with. I was I was like, what? Oh yeah, your model's gone. He's lost. He's wandered off the board. What? What? You can go to okay, but we find, especially in our Facebook group as well. I think there's only been one occasion where we've had to get a bit heavy-handed on the moderation, because it kind of self-moderates, because everyone is of very much the same attitude, which is it's our hobby. We want to be laid back about it and help each other out. And you have everything from 40k to Burrows and Badgers to Napoleonic armies and World War II armies. Everyone's here ultimately for the same reason. So definitely in your group you can. There's a link down below, actually, everyone, as well. So there's links down below to the Burrows and Badgers website, to the Oathsworn Facebook page. Also, again, just to all of our channels, should you want to go and check those out and subscribe, and also remember to like the video if you like it, because it helps it out massively. But I mean, they're going to kill me if I don't ask, and that is what's next. I was trying to think of a way to beat around the bush and just say,
just come straight and ask what is next.
What is next?
Well, we've got a bunch of kind of warband lists that we've done we do like Oathsworn Journal PDFs to just test new rules out and things. And we've got obviously the necromancers and the witch hunters, and there's a few others in there. And I kind of need to get those finalized and into print, so I'll have to do a separate supplement for those, just to have the rules finalized. That's kind of map campaign, and that I'm going to try and get them out at the same time. After that, in all honesty, I'd quite like, I don't know, it won't happen for a while, but I'd quite like to rewrite the rule book. That would be really nice to do. I've mentioned it to Osprey, because I mentioned it to see if when we would be able to write another one anyway, because I don't know what how long they've got the rights for, basically. But they said they might be interested in publishing the next one anyway, because it's done all right for them. So that'll happen at some point. But I mean, it could be a couple of years yet. But we'll see. But that's because it's like, as soon as you've finished writing rules, you're immediately seeing things where you think, well, that's not a very good rule. shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Which I
That
changed
needs
that.
changing, and you're immediately.
It's worse. It's
Yeah,
worse
so
when
there's so
someone
many-
else points
so many
out.
bits.
When someone else says,
Oh,
did,
yeah,
did you know
yeah.
it did that? And you look at it and go, oh yeah, totally. And you're just scribbling something down. It's just like, no, they did. And can I ask? Because I see this question all the time on your on your Facebook page. There's a cover on Amazon for the
Oh
rulebook,
yeah, okay.
which isn't the current cover, is it? I mean, it's a placeholder. I must see this question go up every other day on there saying, is there two covers?
It was
There
never
is.
the cover.
There's just one.
Yeah. It was just the placeholder image. You say it goes up on pre-order effectively a year early. You can't pre-order it, but Amazon want to list things a year early, so Osprey always give them a placeholder image for the cover, and they just didn't bother to change it when they got the new one. So it just looks, But you get asked so many times.
So when you get, if you do another edition, that will have the current edition as the picture.
Probably,
will be
probably.
Given all the animals are set, you said that sort of basically you're trying to do everything in the north of England and have that sort of Northumbria feel to it. Are you going to, in another rule set or another supplement, are you going to spread, sort of have them conquering Ireland or something, or Scandinavia, and bring in some mad Viking lemmings or something?
Yeah, honestly, and people have asked for that kind of thing, but I don't really want to. I think one of the problems I've got, I should never have done so many different animals, really, because the problem is, even now with just the standard ranges, people are like, oh, well, you haven't got, I want a wizard rabbit as well as a ranger rabbit, and I want a heavily armored rabbit, and so you end up needing half a dozen different sculpts just for a rabbit, and then I've got to do it. There's sort of 40 odd different species in the list, so I kind of need about 500 miniatures just to cover the options that are already there. And so, I keep thinking, shall I do some, expand it a bit with something different? I think I'd have to sculpt so many things so quickly that I just, maybe one day, I'll see how the time goes.
That's it. Just to ask and just to confirm, because I always arm my warband how they're armed just on the miniatures, but other than the species, they're not. It's not really WYSIWYG, is it? You can have a
no.
For example, the guy with the weasel with the sword, he can have a bow. It's because they develop in the game. They obviously develop their stats. So other than species, that's pretty much it, isn't it? Because that obviously dictates their starting dice, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have made it, a WYSIWYG game, because obviously it's always easier if you're literally looking on the table and you know what it is straight away. But I find with these kind of campaign games, it's just not possible. It's that, and the fact that basically I wouldn't have time to sculpt them. I'd have to do so many different options for things. It just wouldn't happen. So you've got to be flexible, and as long as everyone knows, everyone's allowed to look at each other's warband rosters, so you can tell what's there. And sometimes it's good fun to get a surprise anyway. So it'd be nice to do a set of plastics. Yes, it'd be nice to do a set of plastics or something, and then you could, convert things up easier. And that it's just the investment's huge for plastics. So it's, maybe to be honest, though, I think with the single piece molds and the ranges it is, I think that it's just so. The character is there, and I think that's obviously a big part of what you've done. You've just won Robin over by the looks of things. In fact, I've seen quite a few of these comments in the back here. I say the chat's been going mad, so I can't keep up with with some of the comments. So
is it hashtag I blame Michael?
I think it is going to be. There is going to be an I blame Michael for here. Hopefully there'll be a slew of orders coming to you over the next week. And I need to say as well, because you've been very, very kind, and you've because Luke's putting on this game at Crackcon, and Luke's got these big plans, but you've sent him a little bit of prize support for people. Well, I say prize, but it's just for people to come and take part and try out in the form of the Mouseketeer, which is an amazing miniature, which I might. Can I do that as one of the people who organise it? Can I do that? I don't know.
Well, I want to. So, yeah.
You want to, yeah. But I must say, so to everyone, if you're coming to Crackcon, there's a demo game for Burrows and Badgers that is running. It's from what I understand, it's sort of going to be a sort of a 20-minute, half an hour type game. Come along, have a go at it. If you're not coming to Crackcon and you want to come and try and give Burrows and Badgers a go, come and get a ticket. It's going to be a great day of gaming. It's in Derby. It's £15, but that includes lunch and tea and all the coffee you can drink to keep you going all day. And there's plenty of games to drop in and try and play. And it's in a hobby shop which has a lot of stuff to set, which is selling an awful lot of stuff. And I think the last time we were there, that was the best day you'd done in about 3 years. When we were in there.
Half of that was Dom stocking up on O group stuff.
And Kaiser. Me and Kaiser.
Kaiser, yeah, his shelves were quite empty afterwards. So, so no, but oh yes, and there you go. Dom has just put that. What's this? The Fire on the Hill, a Badgers and Burrows Red Wall supplement is the dream. Well, to be fair, you could use him and just get an abbey and get some rats outside to hurl stuff at it. That's Red Wall, isn't it? It's, absolutely. Well, what I'd say is obviously we don't have time tonight to go through the viewer photos from the group, but what I will do, I will leave these all up because we don't know whose week it is next week because we forgot to figure that out. But we will post up. I imagine it will either be Dom or Steve, but don't worry, if you posted up photos this week, they will get shown in probably an extra long segment next week. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with us. It's been enlightening, and when we knew that you did a lot anyway, but you probably do 10 times more than we already thought that you did. The two of you, with you guys, and it's impressive, and it's just so nice to see. To be honest, it's really cool to see a game growing, and again, it's awesome. So thank you very much for taking the time to come and hang out.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
More than welcome. Dom is now been clicking away. Have you added something to your cart, Dom?
I may have already placed an order. It's okay. It's entirely reasonable.
I think I'll have to. It's been nearly a year since I painted my first warband, so I think I might be having a look at that later this week.
I found one. I found one that I put in a drawer, and I knew I'd be looking for him. I've got a guy with a blunderbuss to is it a weasel? Or a stoat with a blunderbuss or a ferret to go. And my idea was that I think that's the only ranged thing I have. So, but again, as it's not WYSIWYG, it doesn't matter. Anything can be ranged, but it's the only one there. So thank you for everybody in the chat. Thank you for taking the time to ask questions. We will be back next week at 8:00 on one of the channels for one of the guys down below.
Check out all the links.
Check out the links. Check out the Facebook page. Oh, yep.
Just say as well, for anyone that's going to the Warlord Games open day on Saturday, so I will be there. If anyone wants to come have a bit of a chin wag, a bit of a chat, I'll be there.
Steve only comes outside 3 times a year, and two of those.
This is what a rare moment of me mingling with society. So yeah, I'm gonna make the most of it. It's gonna be brilliant.
Before we go, I should probably ask Mike: are you guys at any shows that are upcoming with Oathsworn?
We always used to. We've had a bit of trouble with it lately because we've got family that have been ill, and that's kind of messed it up a bit. I think the next one we're booked in for is not till Salute next year, but we may get a few more in before the year ends. It all depends on how things go.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I think we'll all be heading to Salute, so we'll definitely be coming over.
Yeah.
We'll be at Salute one way or another. Someone has even suggested that we put on a game at Salute, but we don't know what to play.
Badgers and Barrows, maybe.
Maybe we should. That might be a good plan. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to come and hang out with us on your bank holiday Monday. Thank you to everybody who watches on the replay, and we will see you all again next week. Take care of yourselves. See you later.
See you everyone. Bye.
Watch out for the ferrets.